Hello, welcome everybody. Sorry we're running a little behind. We were trying to work out a little something with Trevor there with his laser, trying something different. And we don't know if it's going to work yet or not, but we're going to test it live here on the show here in a little bit. But welcome everybody. I see we've got Dale Ludlum, Jeff, how do you say that? Neckhorn, maybe. Gary the Wood Bucket, David Mitchell, Jerry Bonifield, Keith Painter, Jim Bashirs. How you doing, Jim? Got a pretty good little crowd over there already. Tonight we're going to be talking about the laser again. You know, a couple of weeks ago I did a show from my shop and talked about the laser, and since then, my favorite Canadian, Trevor Carter, has spent buku bucks to get the same laser that I did. And so we're going to talk to him about that, find out what his opinions of it are and what kind of headaches and stuff like that he had to go through to get it set up. So we'll be talking about that. Javi's here with me again tonight, as always, or at least most of the time he's here. And he just
not completely, but
had a new video release too. So go watch the Make Room for Javi video.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
Hot off the cutting floor there.
Yeah.
Hello, Patricks. We got the Patricks in the house. Sean Draper, Frankie CNC and Woodworking. Steve from Harnell Media is here. How you doing, Steve? All right. Thank y'all for joining. Let's get started talking with Trevor. Trevor, I mean, I know you've had some headaches. You want to talk about when you got the laser and some of the things you've had. And I should preface this by saying it's not problems with the laser specifically. So it's not that. It's just some other things to get it going. So go ahead and tell us a little bit about your experience to date, Trevor.
Well, I mean, as far as to get the laser here, it took about 3 to 5 days. I think it was 4 days it showed up at the door. Went through all the videos. I watched the John Meyer videos. I watched Dave's videos, Michael Mertzke's videos. Had help along the way and stuff too with Dave, Michael Mertzke, Michael Chipser, Javi. And I did the same hookup that they did through the JTech website. I went through it step for step, word for word, and I think I must have done it, I don't know, maybe 30 times at least, and then another 30 with Dave and Michael Chipser and everybody else. I could not get the laser to function. Everything else would power. The fans and stuff would turn on. The small light on there to say that there is power was coming on. But no matter what it is I did, I couldn't get the laser itself to turn on through Mach 3. So I went and bought the UC100 thinking maybe that there would power my breakout board enough to be able to make it work, because we were thinking that would be the issue.
Yeah, and let me interrupt just for a second, Trevor. And in between this, I'd asked Trevor to send me his profile, and I loaded it on my setup, which, pretty much I was running it on my GarageWorks, but pretty much the same as the Gatton as far as all that goes. And with my UC100, it worked perfectly right off the bat, no problems. Then I went and dug up my old computer that had the parallel port, because that's what Trevor was using. He was on a parallel port, and I got exactly the same result. So it's about then when we decided that you either need to get a powered Bob, or even better, get a UC100 or one of the others. And he went with the UC100.
Yeah, I went with the UC100 first and gave that a try. I was all hot-handed, ready to hit those buttons. I put in my S code, I hit enter, and blank. I near died. I didn't know what was going on. So I got a hold of Dave again, and we went over it again and a couple more times. And then finally we got thinking, well, wait a minute, your breakout board, meaning mine, was different than his. He had the pass-through style breakout board, and mine was just a single DB25. So I was plugging into the bottom part of my Xylotex with that one, and then my parallel port was running through the top. What I needed was either the powered breakout board or the pass-through style. And when you do the pass-through style along with the UC100, the way I'm guessing is, I don't know if the UC100 would almost send just enough power back through that breakout board. I don't think it operates that way, but at least everything's all in line. It's all together, and it seems to function just fine.
Yeah. Yeah. You have one of the older, I guess, Xylotex boxes that got there for a while when Jeff was putting the 2 parallel ports on.
Yeah.
And like he said, with the UC100 plugged into one and then a breakout board on the other one, it's still not getting any power to that breakout board. And I have been using the pass-through type breakout boards. In fact, I've got three or four of those, and I've never had to use a powered breakout board because I guess I'm getting the 5 volts from the USB connection. I'm not, I don't know how all that stuff works, but I know it works and has worked fine for me. So yeah, once you got the pass-through breakout board, then what happened?
Well, I got back online with Dave again. We come out and gave it a couple tries, and it seemed to function. Everything was working the way that it was supposed to. But I was getting, my very first test, I was getting no feed rate. I was stuck at 6% or 6 inches per minute, I guess, which left everything extremely dark. So we tried a different post processor, and I was able to get it. The feed rates were okay, but it was leaving me little dots. Everywhere it started, everywhere it stopped, left me little dots. Didn't matter how fast I went, how slow I went. I thought maybe if I could slow it down a little bit or turn the intensity up some, maybe it would burn enough along those lines that you wouldn't see the dots as much. But I guess I was wrong, because when the intensity comes on, it's going to burn a bigger dot. And then when you go around, it's just going to make an even bigger dot when it stops. So the dots I still haven't fully figured out yet. As far as how to operate it, how to function it, I've actually learned a few things even from Dave, and then I've learned some other little tidbits and tricks from Michael Chipser along the way as well. To get mine started, I'll do the M03S5, which allows me to center my laser and get everything all ready to go. And then once I hit cycle start, if I want to go into and have a look and it's not quite filling in to the depth of color that I want, I can go over to my spindle speed, and I can turn my spindle speed up on the fly just like you do your inches per minute. And it'll intensify that darkness back and forth. And you can kind of play with that in your speeds a little bit to get that perfect balance that you want at the very start. You can almost kind of do a little bit of shading with it too, really. If you want your, say you wanted to do a letter T, you could do the bottom of the T fairly light. And as it gets up there a ways, you can bump it up some. And then it'll kind of give it that dark, characteristics and stuff to it. So it's kind of handmade shading, I guess.
Yeah. I think we may have talked about this in one of our conversations, Trevor, but using this laser with wood, it's kind of similar to when you're routing, because you have different feeds and speeds for different types of wood, and it's kind of the same thing with a laser, because some things will burn with a lot less power to get a good dark letter or whatever it is you're doing. And then other things, you can use that same setting and put a piece of oak or something, and it's like,
it didn't even darken it at all.
You can't even hardly tell where it went. So you have to speed it up, either slow the feed rate down or turn the power up, one of the two, or in some cases both maybe. But yeah, so it's a little bit of a learning curve. And I've noticed I always have a lot of scrap plywood. And when I mean plywood, not the good kind, the cheap exterior grade kind, because that's what I buy to build the crates to ship machines and stuff. And when you have that stuff, you know, it has the big grain and stuff in it. And, you know, you might be doing the laser, running a test, and it's burning nice and clear. And then it hits a different part of that wood, and it almost disappears. It's like it
Yeah.
now. So I've learned that really crappy plywood is not a good thing to test with, because you know, I've actually started using cardboard to see if the design's right. And of course, if you're using the good kind of plywood that has, you know, like a nice birch veneer or something, it burns a lot more evenly across it. So, so at this point, then you've had it going now for a few days. What is your opinion of the laser? Forget about all the headaches of getting it going, software and hardware related, but just the laser itself.
The way that the laser itself functions is, well, I wish I had bought it sooner, to be totally honest with you. It's something that with the kind of stuff that I do, I can add so many little knickknacks and treats and stuff to it that will help me sell that much more. I mean, you know, cutting boards and stuff like that, to be able to carve them in is one thing, but then it kind of leaves the cutting board almost useless. They want to use it as a display kind of thing, where if you're able to laser it in there, I mean, you still don't want to use it, but at the same time, you know, they're going to at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another good thing, I think, and I'm sure you probably already thought of this, is just when you're making projects, no matter how you've made the other project, whether maybe you didn't even use the CNC at all, but just for branding purposes, you know, put your, you know, Trevor's workshop or wood shop, or what is it? Wood shop, I think is what your thing is. You know, just putting that, and maybe a date, you know, when you know, so people know exactly when you made it and stuff. That's
what I used to do for clients with the when I had the engraving shop, the trophy shop. Now I didn't cut my own cutting boards. I just bought them, you know, stock. And the side that cuts, I never touched, but the opposite side, I would brand the company's logo nice and big, or whatever saying they wanted, like the Lord's Prayer, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And we drill a couple holes through the board at inconspicuous place where they could just, or one hole in the middle, they could hang the cutting board up backwards to show it off when they wanted to, and they could just grab it off the wall and use it when they didn't.
Over and use it.
That's always an option.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, let me answer a quick question here. Jim Bashir says, how many watt laser are we talking about? Trevor bought it's the 2.8, right?
Yes.
It's the JTech 2.8 watt, same exact laser that I bought, same one I think Michael Mersky has, Michael Chipser has. There's a bunch of people that have bought that 2.8 watt. So, and it's a great little laser. It's not super expensive. I think it's $335 or something like that.
$343, I believe it was US.
Okay, yeah, look, under $350, whereas the other ones start.
Not in Canada.
$50 isn't dirt.
I was going to say it works out to be almost 800 here in Canada.
Yeah. That's, man, they really stick it to you guys. That's all I can say.
But by the time I had it all set up and running, that's pretty close to what I get in there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So we're talking about the 2.8 watt, Jim. And well, Trevor, now that you are, you know, you got it running, and you're learning things with it. Are the wheels kind of spinning up here, you know, figuring out all these different things to do with it?
The wheels are definitely spinning on different things to try it on. I've actually got a few pictures here of some of the different stuff that I've done in the past couple days. I just kind of, you know, after work, 2 hours here.
Okay. Well, you know,
Yeah.
we here on the CNC with Dave Gatton show, we love pictures.
Well, let's give her a try.
Let
see
me have you present.
see if I can remember how to do this screen share.
Have you tried plexiglass or other materials yet, Trevor?
I have not.
When you get into it, you're gonna get addicted to it.
All right. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. That's the style of breakout board that I was talking about that I ended up having to buy as opposed to the single.
Yeah.
Yep.
How it's got the double
Mhm.
parallel port plugs and stuff on it. Still got the same
Yeah.
amount of
That's
of
a
fans.
little different than mine. In fact, I see that one's even ready to mount on a DIN rail. Looks like.
Yes,
Like
that's the only difference between that one and yours.
But yeah, and I don't. What'd you end up having to pay for that, Trevor?
Through
US
Amazon Prime was $22.25, and that was at my door like 2 days later.
Okay, and of course US, I guess, would be probably a little cheaper, maybe.
Yeah, I think yours was through the Amazon.com was like 15 something or 12 something.
Yeah, those things. That's what I mean. Those things are really, pretty dirt cheap, actually.
Here's what comes in the kit with the laser itself, minus the Gatton CNC tool tray. You got your AC adapter over there. You got your little main board. I bought the extra cable up here, just under my dust chute here. The laser itself, a little fan, and a pair of glasses.
Yeah, I'm glad you had a picture of that because it's good to be able to see the whole thing laid out there like that.
Yep.
And there's where I mounted it. Remember I was saying last week I mounted it on the other side. I did a couple CNC projects with it and realized that all the dust and the chips and stuff coming off of my bit were flying over to the right-hand side. So I took it off and mounted it to the other side.
Mm-hmm. I like the way you have it mounted there.
And I've got two holes. I don't know if you guys are able to see that or not, but I got two screw holes so that if something happens that I'm using a short V bit, it's pressed up tight up against my my mount. So I can always have it back on there perfectly straight again. So what I do is I'll pop out that screw and I'll lift it up a hole and put it right back in. And that way there I can run a really small V bit if I think that it's going to get in the way of a clamp or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably put another one down there as well, a little bit further. And there's where I mounted my little main board for it, right up on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fancy. That's almost where everybody else mounts theirs. Now the AC adapter, I didn't know exactly where to put that, so I mounted that on the back and put it in its own little box that's wide open, so I can.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Now, of course, it doesn't matter where you mount the AC adapter because you've got it in back. But getting back to the board, it is handy to have that within reach because you'll need to hit that little
reset button.
And so if you put it in the back or something to keep it away from the dust, then it's going to be a pain in the butt every time you go to start it up. You got to walk around there to do that. Unless they also make a little thing they plug in like a remote reset button, but
Jim wants to know if you have to adjust the Z-axis to focus it.
You do, but what I have is a little 2.5-inch block that I kind of set up off to the side, and I'll run my Z down until I can just barely fit that under, and then hit 0 and go from there. I think everybody else is running right around 3 inches. My paperwork when I got it from JTech told me that they zeroed it out or focused it at 1.5 inches. I brought it down that low, and it to me it seemed to be a little bit too wide. So when I brought it up to 2.5, it worked out almost perfect.
There are a couple other options that I would suggest if you're running a laser. On my commercial laser, there is an offset bracket that has a little tiny hole, and there's a pin that you drop in. It looks like just a knurled knob with a long pin on it. You could use a nail or whatever, cut to size. You drop it in that little hole, and then you lower your bed until it actually touches the piece. And the second option, which I plan on doing on mine, and which it's a little more custom to our line of designs, is you could actually just have a fixed bracket with a metal piece and attach it to your touch plate. So in essence, all you got to do is put your touch plate on your piece, and obviously you'd have to do the calculations, but that's it, and it would always be at the right height.
I thought of trying to use the touch plate for it. That was definitely on my list. I just figured if I can get this thing up and operational and know exactly how to use it, the wheels started turning for the little stuff like that. But I never would have thought of that little offset piece that you were talking about. That's actually a really neat idea.
Yeah, and that way, if you go too far, the offset piece is just hanging in the hole.
Yeah, it's just going to push up.
It's just going to push up, and that's what they do on the professional machines. Well, my machine also has a little, looks like a car door plunger, like the old-fashioned car door plungers. Yep. A really, really tiny one. And so it has it very close to the laser, so it actually does have a mechanical touch probe. But failing that, it has the other option, and most of them have that option. Wish I could take credit for it, but...
All right. What this is an off-topic question here, Trevor. What color stain is that?
Red mahogany.
I thought it looked familiar because I was going to say, man, on the back that looks just like mine, and that's what I did. Mine was red mahogany, only because I had a can of it that had a bunch in it. That's what I did.
I was going to say, if I remember right, I took a picture of my machine, a couple pictures of my machine fully set up. So.
Yeah.
Keith is asking, how do you zero the X and Y on your workpiece?
I just run it back and forth with the. I got the little. I forget what you call it now.
Turn on the dot.
The pendant, and yeah, I just M03 S5, and that turns the laser on. I believe it's 5%, and then I can run it, X and Y to get it lined up into the center of my workpiece. Now I'm used to running center datum, and everybody else runs front left corner usually. Yeah, and that would actually help because I am getting a little tiny dot in the middle, but I mean it's nothing to really worry about. But that's all I do. I just find center of my workpiece, put a little pencil dot, and then I usually take a piece of paper and kind of set it over that pencil dot, and I kind of put a dot right where roughly where I think it is, and then I'll run the laser over top of that little dot on the piece of paper. And once I've got it somewhat centered, I'll pull the paper off, and it's just a matter of a quick adjustment, zero everything out, shut it back off, and then kind of start my system up from there.
Keith Stainer is asking 5% doesn't burn the work. I found that you can turn it on at 5% and even use a piece of cardboard. If you're just doing something on cardboard and it's 5% is not enough to, I mean, it might leave a dot if you leave it on there for a really long time, but when you're trying to zero it in, you're moving it around, and then when you get it on the spot, you're turning it off. So,
and I have another suggestion. If for what it's worth, you could actually use a red laser, a simple, one of those little cheapy. They cost like $10 or $15, whatever, and mount it on the side of your laser, and aim it toward where the laser dot is pointing. I mean, turn on your laser and then focus it, because since you will not be changing the height will be fixed. Therefore, you can even shoot it at an angle and it should mark 00. And some of them, they sell them with little crosshairs, and even at an angle, you align the crosshairs and you can actually get a good representation of the center. Just an idea.
Yeah. I did. I found, just like what Trevor said, turning it on at 5%.
Yep.
Is, because it's, I mean, it's such a fine little blue dot there that it doesn't take but just a second to take your pendant and move it in. You can dial it in,
Yep.
pretty precise and doesn't take long at all. Go ahead. You're getting some compliments on your cabinet there too. Jim Bashir says, Trevor, I love that cabinet.
Thanks, guys.
I have to agree with him. It puts mine to, I got to say, I probably have one of the ugliest Gatton CNC machines out there, but I wouldn't take $1 million for mine. I love that thing.
I've got my computer and stuff set up on the right-hand side, and it's towards the back. So I got these other little doors on the far side, so I can open it up and do anything on the back of the computer that needs to be. And where it's towards the back, I've got a little tool tray inside that right-hand door that'll hold, some of my bigger tools and stuff like that I need for the CNC itself. And then the other side, it'll open up like as a double door. And then I've got a box in there that's got, little bits of scrap woods and stuff like that. So if I need something quick, I can just open up that door, grab what I need, and kind of go. I just like to have things close and on the fly, I guess.
Yeah, that's a very nice setup you got there.
Yep.
And here's one of my first full projects, I guess I could say. I was talking about it a couple weeks ago. I believe it was last week, that if I got the laser, what I wanted to do with it was do some, family recipes and stuff like that, like from, their family, and write it right out kind of the exact same way that they did on a piece of paper, but put it right on a cutting board. So that's my wife. There's my wife's grandmother, and there's her. That's her recipe. So.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I just think that is super cool. I mean, you could do the same thing, with an engraving bit, and engrave it, and then, but laser's just so much easier for something that, with that small of letters and stuff.
What blew me away the most was over where the ingredients are, like just before the 2 1/4 cups. You guys might not be able to see this on the screen, but if you're able to zoom in on that just a little tiny bit, you can actually see that's one of those little acoustic stars or whatever it is that's on your keyboard. What is it? Shift 8, that little star that's up there.
Oh, like an asterisk?
Yeah. And it did that like to a T. There's no blobbing together. It's literally, when you look at it and you're holding it in your hand, and that's tiny, tiny, tiny. Yeah, and like when you're routing stuff with the CNC, like when you do a small E like that, when it comes around, sometimes that little island in the E will chip out.
Yeah.
And, and this here, I mean, there's no chip out, there's no fall apart. It's, I mean, that blew me away right there. So I got thinking at the same time, since, she had a cutting board, now I needed one.
Wow. I really like that.
Now my steaks can
there you go. That's
now my
nice.
steaks can go out to the barbecue in style, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Now these are, had you been playing around with it to dial stuff in, or is this like?
Yeah. The little fork and the little poker thing down there, those were running at, I believe they were at a spindle speed of 20, which my, 20% of laser power, along with the word barbecue and the flames. Now the word Trevor up top and the hot and tasty in the bottom, which I guess they kind of go together. Those were both running at about 30. And I believe as I got going up with the T and the R, like it started at the bottom and worked its way up. As it worked its way up a little bit, you guys can't really tell in the picture, but I bumped it up a little bit as it got halfway up. And then as it got 3/4 the way up, I bumped it up a little bit more. So it actually kind of.
It's like a gradient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of shaded everything in.
It does look a little darker on the top. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't have noticed if you hadn't have said something.
Yep. Because the grain of the wood also follows along with it. So it's not that noticeable.
Somebody, Keith Painter is asking what the estimated time to burn that. Do you remember the times on any of this stuff? Or
I remember almost the exact times. This one here was 2 hours and 3 minutes from start to finish.
Wow.
The ingredient one, I did it in 4 tool pass. Like I said, split up the small letters and did those together. And then I did the word ingredients and stuff together. And then the cookie and stuff was all separate. That one there was almost 3 hours.
yeah,
But I mean, the cutting board is worked out to be a 10 by 8 inch piece in the center, like where the breadboard ends are. Just the nice square that's in the center worked out to be an 8 by 10. So
yeah. And just to clarify, just in case there's somebody out there in the chat watching that, is thinking, wow, 2 or 3, this is a little 2.8 watt laser. It's not at all to be confused with the, 40, 50, 60 and all that watt lasers that, are super fast and all that. Those are a whole different animal. This is just kind of a small diode laser that you can add to your CNC, which, again, it's slow, but you're only limited to whatever the work area of your CNC is now. So there's pros and cons to both. But I don't want anybody to think, wow, 3 hours, that's ridiculous. That's not bad at all because he's got all of that is a fill. It's filling that in. So it probably.
I mean, if you stop and think about it, I mean, if you're running a 1/4 inch end mill and it's obviously a 1/4 inch wide, if you're doing a 50% step over, you're taking an 1/8 out of there. This here is 0.07 or 0.007, right? Yeah.
About 7,000. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, when you do an 80% step over on that, that's not very big.
Yeah.
It's much those pencils where you have to hit the end a bunch of times and get just the lead to kind of pop out. That's about the size of this laser beam.
Yeah. And one thing I'll mention too, I have learned because the laser is definitely something that I don't want to hit the button, because my laser's on my garage works out there in my shop. I'm not going to fire it up and then run in the house and eat a sandwich and take a nap and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I do have a fire extinguisher, in both my garage and the shop. So I'm ready should tragedy strike. But most of the time I'm right there with my laser. So when I run a program, and Trevor and I talked about this the other day, how you can do the estimated time with VCAR Pro and Aspire and all that. Yep. I have found that the Mach 3 simulation is closer, and even a lot of times I found that it'll actually run faster than what the simulation said it was. But what I do is when I run a program, I have got in the habit of like I do, I'm making a lot of these custom fretboards and stuff like that now and putting graphics on some of these boxes and stuff. So what I do is once I run the program before, because Mach 3 has the time right on there, I'll go edit the program and put the time in there. That way, if I'm about ready to call it a night and I want to run something, I can pull up that program and go, yeah, it's, I know exactly how long it's going to take. And I know whether I'm going to stay out there and run it or not, but I'm not going to set it and hit run. And now I will come in and grab a bottle of water or, something like that, but I'm not going to, leave it run unattended and not being watched, for an hour or something like that. I just don't think that would be a very smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Definitely not a smart thing to do. I'll show you a picture in a second of what happens.
That's probably, a test tube.
Here's I wanted to try the CNC with a project and then the laser afterwards. So I created this little bear paw. I pocketed out all the little holes, and then I took the laser afterwards and I put the grizzly bear in there.
I like that.
I might have a second picture of it. Nope, I don't. And of course, where I have kids, I mean, this is just one of those things where I want it to have so that before they come in the door, you know, obviously when they see that sign, they're going to know, put their glasses on before they come in, kind of thing. I got magnets on order. I'm just going to drill some small holes in the back. I've got a steel door for my man door here. And every time I fire up that laser, I'm just going to plop that on the door, and hopefully the kids notice that first thing right off the bat.
Yeah.
Probably gonna paint around the edges and, you know, make it nice bright red or whatever, and kind of go from there.
Yeah. I need one of those for my shop, but I haven't taught Rocky and Jack how to read yet. So
Yeah.
Dave,
I can't get them to wear them damn red glasses. They just won't do it.
Dave, take a quick look at my screen. I don't know if you want to share it. This is what happens when you don't attend your laser for 4.5 minutes. That's the time I was away from it.
Oh, he still got me.
I'm sorry. I'm still presenting Trevor. My bad.
Yeah.
All right, Javi, hold on. Let me get you presented. 4.5 minutes.
That's all it took. I went to take a little potty break, and I was lasering for 12 years. I've done it so many times. I know exactly what I'm doing. Well,
but you can like pause those things, right? Like,
yes, and I should have.
I mean, yeah, hindsight's 20/20, but
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's about, believe it or not, that's only about $600 damage. But the worst of it was the fact that all the belts were, I had to buy new belts and pulleys, no big deal. All the laser electronics and everything was intact. The top, which is plexiglass, clear plexiglass, melted on that rail that you see there. And I just haven't gotten around to finish cleaning the rail because I can't buy, they don't sell the rail. So I have to, and that thing is so precise, it has to be perfect. So, eventually, it's only $600 damage, so it wasn't too bad. Could have been worse.
Got a couple of questions in the chat here, real quick. Chad at Mancraft, how you doing, Chad? Good to see you out there. He says, "Can anyone tell me, is it possible to make money with a laser?" It's possible to make money with anything. The key to this CNC stuff, and of course, obviously, you got the. Oh, now I'm stuck on hobby. There we go.
Yep. Sorry about that.
You know, the key to anything. I'm still stuck on you.
I think you had turned them off, then you turned them back on.
Here we go.
There you go.
All right. The key to anything CNC is not walk off and leave it where you're not paying attention to it, but hit it and go do something else. Whether it be a router or, you know, anything, you know, treat it like a automated tool, or treat it like the automated tool that it is. And you don't have to stand there and watch the thing.
Yeah. And
you do need to, you know, keep an eye on it. And with a router, I keep my ear tuned to it to hear if it's messing up and all that. But, you know, I'm within earshot or within view, and I'm, you know, like it for my laser, it's at one end of my shop, and my shop's only like 12 by 28. So, you know, I'm only 20 or so feet away from it on the other end when, you know, me down there putting a guitar together or sanding or, you know, doing whatever. I'm always doing something else besides just standing there watching it. Cause you don't, you know, especially these kind of lasers, they're so slow that if you know, unless you just got a really cool product.
Absolutely. And speaking as one who had a business for 12 years with a laser trophy company, I used to do signs, and then the laser was a large part of it. Yes, absolutely, you can make money with a laser, but really the question you have to ask yourself is, like, can you make money woodworking? Can you make money? It's not about the actual tool. It's not the laser itself that's making you money. You have to go out and do the sales. You got to do the legwork. You got to make the connections. You got to set up. I mean, I hate to say it, there's no substitute for hard work and leg work. You can make money in practically anything. It's all about getting out there and doing the sales. And I hate that because it's a bad word, but that's the secret to making money in a business.
Coming up with a different idea that nobody else has thought of at the same time is also,
yeah. And
that
not
helps.
even,
That helps,
and
it makes it so that the sales are so much easier because it's something that people haven't seen yet. So it draws their eyes to it, right?
True. But however, it's very difficult, if not nearly impossible, to come up with an idea that someone else will not duplicate. And frankly, sometimes it's not so much. I mean, your point is valid. Definitely coming up with an idea and a niche is, as long as you position yourself. Again, it goes back to branding and back to sales.
Yep.
But if you even have an idea that somebody else has done over and over and over, and you're just one of the masses, it all boils down to sales again. Whether it's, and even if you have a unique idea, it's like that old saying, you build a better mousetrap and people beat a path to your door. No, not if they don't know you're selling mousetraps. I mean, again, you have to get the word out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is that all the pictures and stuff you had, Trevor?
That's all the pictures that I have done. Yes.
Okay. Are we ready for you to try your other little test?
I think we could be.
Okay. We'll give you a minute to get set up there. Chad says sales is just another word for relationships.
Absolutely.
Okay, I guess so. Yeah.
It's the truth.
I was just sitting here thinking, probably should invite Chad to come on the show sometime and talk about his, what do you got? Boss laser, I think is what you have, Chad. Like I said, it's a whole different animal. So, it's be a whole different show than what we're, talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly what Chad just put out there. 6 million people in Atlanta, and lots of people can do the same thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
none of them know how to drive, but that's how many there are.
It's not like before where a laser like it. Mine, I bought it 10, 18 years ago. No, 10 or 12 years ago. No, it's been 15. And they're $20,000. They didn't sell little JTech lasers at the time. This was only commercial products. It was a whole different world. Now, I mean, they're selling a K40 for $400 that can do practically everything. It could cut 1/4-inch plexiglass, 1/2-inch plexiglass. I mean, it's just gotta love mass production.
Make it a little bit noisy. I'm going to try to zero up my machine here.
Well, for most of us, that's like music to our ears. Remind me to ask a Mach 3 question too, Javi, after he gets done with this.
Sure. No, Jim, that's true, Jim. It depends. You can actually use it straight out of the box, the K40. There's just a lot of our community that chooses to put in $100 for this and $100 for this and $100 for this, but it's a $300 or $400 machine that just for the basics, you can sorry, my screen froze. Just for the basics, you can easily use it straight out of the box. Now, you got to be careful because one of those little added features is a dust collector, rather a fan to blow out the exhaust. You certainly don't want to be cutting plexiglass in your office with something like that. But
yeah, we still get video over there. I'm seeing a black screen.
I'm
on the YouTube feed
here. No, let's see. Again, I'm a little half an hour delayed. Yeah, I still see Trevor and everything. You want to lock it on Trevor? I see Trevor and you and myself.
Well, I was going to wait until he's ready to fire.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty much ready. This is the little block that I was talking about. It's just a little block of wood. I put a little splash of paint on it, and I wrote on there laser, so I know enough not to throw it out, which I'm sure I will sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm just refreshing this.
So this G code that I'm going to run now, there's 2 or 3 different. What is there? There's 2 different post processors for the Vectric software on JTech.
Mm-hmm.
And one is called what is it, Mach 3 Nosy something something, and then there's another one that's Mach 3 laser, what is it, MP and P11. There's 2 different post processors, and the P11 one.
Oh, well, I've renamed that one. Yeah, the one is Mach 3 laser modified nosy M11P1 inch.
Yeah, and the inch one was able to work for me, but didn't have a feed rate for me. It wouldn't allow me to. When I turned it on, it would just start at 6 inches a minute. I'd have to bump it up myself. It wouldn't matter what it is I put in my program to tell it to go to. It wouldn't do it. The other post processor that's got the M10 and M11 would make my machine function as far as feed rates go, but my laser wouldn't turn on. So this one here is the one that Dave just modified for the M10 and M11.
Yeah, I opened it up and saw that it had the variable defined for the spindle as an S, but then when it had the begin first move or whatever, it had everything it needed. It had the feed rate, but it didn't have the S. So I added it, and then I saw that it was, when I posted some code, saw that it was putting the spindle speed in there, which was the laser power. And so now we're about to try that live here on the show. So let's see what happens. Let me lock it on Trevor if you're ready to go there, buddy.
I do notice right away that up in Mach 3 where it shows the S-OV, normally it tells me if I'm running 20% of the laser or 50% of the laser, it'll show me there. The other night when Michael Chipser and I were both trying, we couldn't get that to do anything. It always stayed at 0. Right now it's on 5. So maybe it will work. Who knows? But we're going to give it a try.
Let's do it.
Safety glasses on.
Keith is asking if it'll run on a Gecko 540 or is a breakout board needed?
Yeah, I mean, you could run it. Well, as long as you have a powered output is what you need to run it. So I don't know what the Gecko 540 has, but I would assume it would work fine with that.
You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. It's showing me that it's supposed to be at 50%, but I'm not getting no laser.
Well, that's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
Well, like I said, I planned on doing this show from my shop so that I could be right there at my laser. And then because I've been out there working the past few days and got everything all messy in my garage, I got lacquer drying and stuff like that, I decided to do it from in here. But I will get down to the bottom of that other post because there must be some little something. I just can't figure out what. Let me look at that text file for that code I sent you and see. Let's see, it's this one here, I think. F20 S50 M11P1.
Now this one here, it did tell me as far as the speed goes, you must have had that set to 50 because it did go to 50.
Yeah, that's what I had it set to.
And the feed rate was 20.
Yep.
Yeah. So all of that definitely got in there. It's just for some reason my laser doesn't want to turn on and off with that code.
Okay, now you're using M11 P1, right?
Yep, that's the M11P1 code.
And you're using output 1.
Yep.
Because that's what the P represents, the output.
Yep.
All right. Well, I don't know. I'll have to go out and kick around that post and try, because I've never even tried that post. I've always had pretty good results with the other one that I did. And like I said, I modified it so that it would put the line numbers and stuff like that in it that I like.
That's the one that I seem to like using the most as well.
I noticed this one doesn't put the line numbers, so if I was going to use this one, I'd go modify that as well to put it doesn't have the header or anything in there. Like I like to see. I mean, I don't know why they don't have them do that if they're going to make it for Vectric, because I don't know about everybody else, but I just like seeing that stuff. I like to be able to look at the top, see what my blank size is, what tool it is, all that different kind of stuff. And I like having the line numbers so that you can, if you want to shut it off and come back the next day to finish it, if you're doing something that's going to take a long time, you know exactly where you're at.
Yep.
So I just think it makes it easier. All right. Well, I guess we're a little after 9. We did get kind of a late start tonight. Does anybody have any questions about the laser or about anything else, about the projects he showed or anything like that?
Still got me presenting too, Dave.
Oh, yep. That's all right. You're a good looking fellow. George Rothfuss, I can't ever say that name. Rothfuss in the house. I appreciate y'all over there. Still got 53 watching.
Wow.
So I appreciate that. We got a bunch of thumbs up. I appreciate those for sure. And I guess we're going to go ahead and sign off out of here. Did you have anything else you wanted to show them?
I don't think so. I don't know if the guys would want to hear the spindle fire up to see what the difference would be as far as sounds wise while it's just sitting here while we're talking away, or I don't know if it's a
We could probably keep having a conversation as long as you don't plunge into wood.
Yeah.
Troy Richard says, does anybody use their laser on their 4th axis? I haven't, but I'm sure probably somebody has. It works just like the other way with a router bit.
Yep.
Keith Painter says, so you set up a laser profile in Mach 3. Yeah, I do, and I think that's what you did as well, right, Trevor?
I did. Yep. What I ended up doing,
like a different machine. That would be the way to do.
I just copied my Gatton CNC one, so I had all my feeds and speeds and all that fun stuff already in there. Then it was just a matter of going back in and turning on the outputs that are needed and set your pins and your ports and good to go.
Yeah, I may even have to run out in my shop tonight just because it's bugging the heck out of me to run that code and see, because just looking at it, it looks like it would run. But why is it not turning that on? I don't know.
I don't know.
Unless there's a different output that you have to have set up in Mach 3.
Now I know when I turn the laser on to zero it all out, I just used the M03S5. It fired right up. I was able to bring it over and put it where I want to. zeroed everything up, and then from there it should be just hit cycle start, right? Everything should just kind of do its thing.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and, because like I said, I knew about that, the M10 P11 or P1 and M11 P1 and all that because of the video that John Mayer did. But when I did mine, I used that other post using M3 and M5, and I've had good results with that. So I never had a reason to go look at the other thing.
If I remember right, I was watching some of his videos again the other day, and if I remember right, I think he used the S4, S5, and S3 codes for all of his videos. I don't think he used the P whatever.
I don't know. Well, I know he had a video showing how to set it up.
What he did was set it up so that it would run strictly on or strictly off, and then he went back in later and copied that profile and set it up with the PWM through spindle and stuff like that to be able to turn it up and down the way we are now. That's a fancy cup you got there, Javi.
Yeah, I'm just advertising for Chad. He says he's got a rotary axis on his laser, and I'm thinking, I know. This is one of his cups.
Yeah, I got a couple of them.
And if my laser wasn't in pieces, I would probably, because I have a rotary attachment. I used to engrave wedding glasses and stuff like that for people, and I'd probably buy every single color there is of this thing and make a dozen of them. I mean, you know, you get green, you get allow me, silver, red. I mean,
I like the black hammer tone style ones.
Oh, hang on.
The rough ones.
That one's I've got a black hammered one. I use it for coffee. It's in the truck.
But if I recall, there's even like a safety orange one.
Well, why don't you do you have it with you, Dave?
Yeah, it's in the kitchen in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
but there's
a Gatton blue.
I got a Gatton blue and a Garage Works safety orange as well. So we had a question. I don't want to. Let's see. How much do you have to clean it after a router job? Do you cover the lens? You want to take that one, Trevor? Because I run my laser on a machine without a router. I'm not doing the both thing.
As far as the dust, like I said, if I put it on this side of the machine where my bits are spinning that way, it will blow it a lot. But then again, I'm also running the spindle too. So, I mean, if you're using a router, it's going to blow everywhere. So yeah, what I would almost do is either set mine up with a magnetic mount so you can unclip it, put it up somewhere else, or like you said, have a dust cap that goes over top of the lens.
It also depends on what type of material you're cutting, because if you're cutting, for instance, if I'm doing glass or burning off paint off of metal, like in the case of Chad's cups, then once a month is the recommended maintenance schedule, at least for a commercial laser, with the alcohol swab and everything to clean the lens. But if you're burning wood or plastic, the level of soot, especially for wood, the soot that comes up there, even if you have an air assist blowing the soot off, even if you have a dust control, it tends to collect a lot on the lens, and that's going to damage your. Before long, you'll find that 100% power is not 100% power anymore.
I've got a 16-foot garage door. So when it's, fairly warm outside, which is few and far between here where I live lately anyways, I'll open up that door. I mean, and the breeze that blows through here is, it's phenomenal. So, I mean, the whole time that was running yesterday while it was doing its thing, it was just full power wind and stuff rolling in through here doing its little thing. I didn't even notice even the smell of the wood burning as it was going along. So,
right.
Yeah, Alan Kreifels has a question. He says, after a 3-hour laser run, did you have an extra smoke? Did you have any extra smoke exhaust in the shop? I guess
The
you
only
have
thing,
to keep for smoky in your shop. You have
yeah.
to- yeah, right.
I wouldn't say it's overly smoky. You get more of the smell or the fumes of the wood burning more so than the smoke. I mean, it's not a super powerful laser. So over top of my table saw, I have one of those ceiling mounted air cleaners, and the whole time that's running, if my doors are closed, I will have that running. And then every 15, 20 minutes, I'll open up my man door for a few minutes, kind of let the fresh air kind of roll through. It doesn't seem to be smoky in here.
Yeah, and if you're burning wood, it is like burning wood. I mean, you've been to a campfire, that's basically it. If you're burning plastic, however, I highly recommend
Yeah.
an activated charcoal filter and vent outside.
Yes.
Don't do, I mean, that's poisonous gas that you're
Yeah.
creating there. So
Yeah. No, I don't, as of right now, have any plans on dealing with any plastic whatsoever. I mean, I'm more of a pine guy. I like to go in and buy stuff cheap, do little knickknacks and stuff with it. I don't sell real high. I mean, $20, $30, $40, $50. I would rather sell a pile of $40, $50 stuff than one $400 bench, so to
Yep.
speak. That way there, I mean, for one, I stay active and stay busy doing it. Number two, I mean, I can, watch that machine go all the time. Same with the scroll saw stuff. I mean, there's times where I've taken the CNC and started with stuff and then take my stencil and put it over top of what I just CNC'd and scroll saw parts in there. All of my tools here work together. It's not just one tool usually, or,
right.
the more I can incorporate every tool that I have into one job, it just makes it more fun to me.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what it's all about. I mean, we're hobbyists. We're not. If you're in business, you gotta go a whole different track. I was looking online. Those at eBay, they're selling for $25. The same exact cutting board you get that I think they're available. Someone said IKEA for $8. They're selling them for $25 with free shipping. You calculate shipping, you calculate the cost of the board, and then you throw in your time. You're losing money.
Yep.
You're losing money. You have to get the high paying customers, or again, it goes back down to sales. If you truly want to make a business out of it, make some money.
See, there's where I get lucky. At our local dollar store, they've got those for $2. They're a bamboo board.
Nice.
For just around here, and to do little knickknacks on. I mean, if you want to laser something like that on there and sell it for $20-$30 or whatever, it's fairly easy profit, and it's not to the point where they actually have to go to the bank machine and take out extra to be able to go pay for it. It's $20.
Exactly. And if you've got a high volume of them, then even better.
Yeah.
I mean, the same thing goes for Chad and his cups. I mean, the cups are not cheap. I mean, these cups, especially the Yetis, and it does take time to powder coat. It does take time to. I mean, it's very, very low profit margin.
Yep.
And
a lot of work.
And if you're just doing one, it's not worth it. But if you're doing 100, that's a different story. That's a gorgeous looking design there. The barbecue cutting board.
Alrighty, I guess we're going to wrap this one up then, guys. I appreciate everybody out in the chat. We got Big Bear 4. I think is that Ronald Cool? I think that's Ronald Cool. I believe. He's asking about getting some help with his, let's see,
laser is not coming on when it's supposed to and shutting off when it's not supposed to.
With his UC 400 ETH and an MX 4660 driver. I would say, make sure, are you using, hey, Barbara, are you using Mach 3 or, what kind of software? Because I would bet it's probably one of your settings isn't right.
And if worst comes to worst, check that breakout board.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if he's using the 4660, he's going straight off the
Yeah, right off
I'll put off of that.
off of that, which should work perfectly fine. Again, like you said, it's probably settings, but
Yeah, it's hard. It's
I don't have a JTech, so
yeah, it's hard to tell. All right, I am going to. We're going to wrap this up here, and I will. If I don't get out there tonight, I will tomorrow. Let's see, what am I doing tomorrow? I've got to watch some stuff dry tomorrow, so I'll give me a chance to work with that other post, and I will update everybody on next week's show, and we'll, assuming I find a solution. I feel confident I will, though. If I got a whole week, geez, I can usually figure something out. But thank you all so much for watching and tuning in tonight. Y'all need to keep coming back, because I'm gonna have a announcement or two coming up in the next few shows as soon as I can get all my stuff together. But anyway, and we did a good job. We didn't turn this into a guitar show like we did last week. Bump day at Indy tomorrow. Yeah. I'll be watching that probably if it's on a channel I can pick up. So John Fisher in the house. How you, John? Wasn't John Fisher the one that was darn it, I forgot now. He was asking something the other week, and I think it was him. And I said, yeah, if you do, oh, I know what it was. Was it John? Was it you that was asking about the lasers from that endurance company where you buy them and it's a kit and you have to put one together? I think it was, or either that or maybe it was another John. But anyway, I said, yeah, make sure if you do it and you get one, let us know what you think. But okay, Ronald Poole says Mach 3. I guess my boys are telling me it's time to get off of here. I'm parking in the background. Yeah, I've got left the window open. There's a car out in the street. So anyway, thank you all so much. Please hit the thumbs up on the way out if you would. And like I said, come back next week. We'll have a topic. Chad, if you're up for coming on the show to talk about your Boss lasers, love to have you on, buddy. If he's still there, he might have already bailed on us here. I'm not sure.
That would make for a good show, without a doubt.
Yeah, I'd love to see how he does the rotary stuff and all that with and I don't know how big of work area and stuff he has. That's one of the things, like Javi, you mentioned earlier that the K40s are about $400 or something like that. But I think they've got like an 8 inch by 12 inch.
Yeah, that's the part that's a shame. I mean, mine had an 18 by 24 a 20 by 24 work area. The Gen 5 from Boss has 16 by 12. I know, but his is bigger than that. I'm pretty sure. I think it's somewhere in the. I don't know. It's I just don't know which model he has, but I think it's somewhere in the maybe 16 by 18 or 12 by 18. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be off. Might be smaller than I thought.
I just know that little K40, because I had thought about, like you said, everybody's getting on a bandwagon and getting one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd love to have something that's, more wattage and a lot quicker. But with that small work area, I'm like, well, shoot, it wouldn't even do half the stuff. Well, I can't hardly think of anything. I mean, I guess like these little boxes back here, that the box lids I put that would fit on there. But the fretboards and some of this other stuff that I do, you know, it's nice to have a big old CNC. And
Yeah, the beautiful thing about the one I have, and I believe the Boss, some of the Boss lasers are this way. I have an entry and an exit. It's 18, like I said, or 20 inches by 24 wide. But on that 24 wide, I have a door that opens on the front and on the back, so I could stick a bow door if I wanted to, or something extremely wide, and tile it if need be. Which is a beautiful thing. So if it's something like a fretboard or something, I've got a good 20 inches, and then I can, you know, continue. But
well, the thing with the fretboard though is
it's got to be precise. Yeah,
it's got to be precise. So it's nice to be able to put it in a fixture that doesn't move, and the laser does all of it at once.
Oh, absolutely.
Do some base fretboards, and they're going to be even longer. So.
Yep. That's what I love. That's what I like about having the laser is there's no hold downs. You just put it on there, set it in place, do your thing.
Yeah. Although you know, I have here, you know, it depends on what I'm doing, but I have got where I try to clamp stuff because sometimes I, you know, lay it there and you forget that it's not, you know, it's just sitting there, and I'll go to touch it and then next thing you know, I bumped it just enough and thrown everything off. So yeah, I either try to put it in a fixture or.
I've been taking mine. I've got this little rail mounted to the front end of my machine where I usually butt all my stuff up against that I know is square.
Yep, I do the same thing on both of mine.
I'll take one of my hold down clamps, drop it down in the hole, and I'll usually tighten it down, and then I push it over to it. And that way there, I know right where it is at every time. I find sometimes if you do put the hold down clamp on it and tighten it down, what happens is the other side lifts up a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
So you're stuck putting two. So I always I butt that up against there, butt it up against there, and then I know that as long as all my wood is the same size, I can just keep dropping it in. It's like its own little fixture. If I'm doing the same thing over and over. It's like those cutting boards. I just dropped it in, locked it down, got it in zero. Once I got it in zero, I was able to put the clamp and stuff off to the side, and then my next one, I just drop it in place and hit start.
I'm really surprised. I'm really surprised that no machines that well, I mean, obviously the hobby machine you got to build it on, but I'm surprised that none of even the smaller machines don't come with that accessory, because my rotary engraver, my laser engraver, this one here I hooked up, and the Gatton, they all have exactly that, an L-shaped rail to butt up against, where the L has a little circle, so it's
dust packs in
for dust packs in, and it's 0-0.
You know, the really big commercial lasers, and when I say commercial, I'm talking
the 2,000 and 5,000 watt lasers.
Back in the day, they always had, well, if it was a hybrid where the table moved, the sheet would slide around, so they had clamps that you could put it in. But if it was a what they call it, flying optic, I think is the term they use, where the bed stays and the gantry moves. They, you know, before they came up with that new feature, they had little stops where you could bring it down, kind of like the L-shaped thing you're talking about. But now all the newer lasers, they're really, I'm talking 4,000 watt and 6,000. I'm talking big stuff. They have a thing where when they have the suction cups that pick the sheet up and set it down, even if it sets it crooked, at the beginning of the program, the laser runs out there and finds the edge, finds this, it does 3 points, and then it can adjust the program, even if it's setting out of square. So
that's pretty neat.
Really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Gatton won't have that anytime soon. All right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks everybody for watching tonight. I've enjoyed your questions and enjoyed seeing Trevor's laser stuff. It's pretty cool. And like I said, next week I'll give you an update on that post. And I think Chad had already gone, so I'll have to message him, see if he wants to come on and talk about this lasers, since we're kind of in this laser groove right now. If not, we'll talk about something else. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we will see you all later. Good night.
Good night, all.
See you guys. Thanks, Dave.